Hello and a very warm welcome to another edition of Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is somebody from down south. He's from Bavaria, to be precise. He's nodding away here. He's a man of many talents, but he's perhaps best known for being the creator of a cult TV personality here in Germany called Bernhard Bread. And here he is, Tommy Krappweis.
Hello.
Did I get that right? Bernhard?
Yeah, you got that right.
It wasn't right, Bernard, the English version, yeah? OK. Now, I can almost hear you at home saying, who on earth is Bernhard Bread? But he's chuckling away. Yeah, mention that name to pretty much anybody here in Germany, young and old alike, and they'll be very impressed indeed to know that he is the creation of our guest, Tommy Krappweis. And Tommy is, as I hinted already, much more besides. He's a musician, a producer, a comedian, a stuntman, sometimes even a cowboy. And I'm sure it's going to be very interesting to hear what he has to say about the following topics. Creative and crazy, Tommy Krappweis has always been in love with the camera, and his fans are in love with his creations. Capital camping. Many Germans are enjoying the first flush of spring, and they're being joined by some happy campers who've come to downtown Berlin. And Crash Course. We join a team of office workers who get out of their suits and into action as stuntmen and women. You have to admit that was a very impressive list of all the roles that you play. Yeah.
Well, you have to admit that only if you say you do something doesn't necessarily mean that you do it good. So you could do anything that I did as well.
I'm not sure about the cowboy bit. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the quality, but you could do it.
What do you say to people when they ask you on a train? They say, "What do you do?"
Whoa! I say I work in the TV movie business. And it depends on what I am actually doing right now, because I tend to answer like at the very moment I am presenting a book I wrote, or at the very moment I am home from a gig where I did stand-up comedy or whatever. That's simpler.
It was interesting when I was going on YouTube to look at all the various things you do, and one of the first things I clicked onto was something that was very much influenced by Monty Python. There was you doing a stand-up comedy routine.
Is that so?
Yeah, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And you also...
I love that one. I love that one. It's amazing. It's just an amazing topic, because everybody, or put it another way, nobody thinks about the fact that we celebrate Easter with eggs and rabbits. And why do we call it Easter? Why do we not call it the resurrection of Christ?
Okay.
It's amazing. I love that.
Okay, so then I clicked on after I'd watched that and had a bit of a chuckle, and then I find you doing a version of the John Lennon song Working Class Hero.
Did you see the version where I was so ill? Was it that? Because
you were very...
yeah, because
it's a good version, though.
I had that low voice. I had about 90 million degrees fever. Yeah. And I woke up in the morning and said, oh, my God, what's that voice? And I found that voice so interesting that I immediately had to sit down and record a song where the gravel voice would
It works.
fit. It works. And it was really hard, because I did it for about 10 times because I couldn't concentrate and my fingers were shaking. Yeah. But, well, I had to do it. Super. I had to do it. Somebody told me to do it.
It's a good song.
It's an amazing song.
It's a great song, yeah. OK, you've had your first impressions there from Tommy. Here's more.
Is there?
Tom Krappweis has been making films since he was 8. Due to a lack of volunteers back then, he worked as both the director and the leading actors. The Munich native considered Laurel and Hardy his role models, as well as Buster Keaton, for whom he later served as a stunt double at an amusement park. After university, he continued to work as a stuntman, until he got a job on broadcaster RTL's Saturday night comedy show. He worked as an actor, a writer, and a director. In the mid-90s, he founded his own production firm, Boom Film, which specialized in comedy, children's programs, and puppet theater. Tommy Krappweis also made a name for himself with the fantasy trilogy Mara. In 2004, the character he invented, Bernhard Bread, a melancholic lump of white bread, was awarded the Grimme Prize, one of Germany's most important television awards. In the meantime, he works for some of the biggest names in German entertainment, including Stefan Raab, for whom he's made several music videos. And he's got 2 feature films in the works. Today, he's our guest on Talking Germany. Tommy Krappweis.
Okay, that's what my German sounds to the people who watch that show. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah. At the beginning there, there's a Buster Keaton sequence, yeah? That was you, jumping through the double doors of the saloon.
Wouldn't make sense to show that clip now if it wasn't me. Yeah,
you can do it yourself, you can do that.
Yeah, well...
And that was you going backwards down the steps as well?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah.
No? Does that hurt?
Not anymore. It's 10 years away. Or 15. I'm 40 now, 22.
You're 40 years old? Yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. A grand old age. Your career as an entertainer began when you were 3 years and 7 months old, I'm guessing.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I used to be a very... actually, I still am a person who likes to have his own privacy and be locked up in a room and work for myself and write down stuff. On the other hand, I like to be on stage, but I do not really like to be together with people doing a... What do you call it? Gesellschaftsspiel? What's the word for that?
A sort of a society game, but playing games that would be like cards or something like that. You hate that?
Yeah, and I hate brainstorming.
You hate brainstorming?
Yeah, it's a horror for me. Because I have an idea and I want to work on that immediately and see what it leads me to, because that's the fun part. Yeah. And then always somebody else says, well, no, I don't think, maybe we should live... And he destroys my idea before I started having fun with it, because it's all about the fun for me.
So on the introvert-extrovert spectrum, where are you? Are you both ends?
I have no real answer for it, because when I'm on stage, I'm obviously extroverted. You say that like extroverted? Yeah. And but if I do creative things, then I'm very much introverted, and I like to write books and stuff and scripts and do music. I'm a weird person, I guess.
You're a weirdo, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a weirdo.
A weirdo.
Do I have to go
You're
now?
You're a self-taught weirdo.
Yeah, I taught myself to be weird by myself.
You were born weird, but you're self-taught in all the things you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where does the self-taught bit come from? I mean, Germany's the kind of place where you meet somebody and people say to you, what is your Beruf? They want to know what your profession is immediately. And you've got to have trained for it for 6 years.
I hate to be told how to do something.
Yeah, you find out by yourself.
Yeah, I have to find out by myself. If it hurts, then at least I learned my lesson.
The internet must be a fantastic thing for you, because... I'm not so sure.
What was the neugierig? What was curious? I'm not really curious, only if I can do something with it. So the internet is good for me to do recherche.
Yeah, research.
Research, that's okay. If I want to know something, I can find out, and then I tend actually not to believe Wikipedia. Yeah. I tend to double check that.
You actually...
Yeah, I actually read
books.
You read books. There's
That's interesting.
With letters in, yeah.
You are clearly a very bright guy.
Thank you very much.
It's out there. It's on air. It's in the open, yeah? You never went to... We're talking about being self-taught and all this kind of stuff. You never went to university or college?
No, I didn't have time, because I had to...
You didn't have time?
I wanted to do the things...
You already had this energy and you needed to get it out there. Yeah?
And well, the problem might be that actually I tended not to believe teachers. How do they know? How do they know? Why are you laughing?
Tommy, were you a troublemaker at school?
Not at all.
No?
Well, I wasn't there too much, because I went to school.
Where the heck were you?
I went to school because they had a room where we could form a school band. And practice. I went to school because I could start a theatre project. I went to school because they had cameras.
Well, these are all good reasons.
Absolutely, but I did not go to school to learn English or maths or whatever. I only used the resources they had to do something with it. And my teachers, luck for me, my 13th birthday, they were there, a couple of them. And they said, well, Tommy, you know, you were a horrible student. You had the baddest grades possible.
Yeah.
You had we have from 1 to 6, and I had probably 7s and 8s. Yeah. and they always tried to kind of maneuver me through that. Yeah. I didn't realize that they helped me, but
they were on your side.
They were absolutely on my side because they said, okay, if we drop this guy, he might end in the gutter. Yeah. And if we don't, maybe something special will come out of that weirdo. And they actually helped me, but they never told me. I thought that, well, it's amazing that I still have a 5 in mathematics. Is that amazing? I wonder. Well, I don't wonder. I don't care.
Okay.
You know?
We've mentioned, you've got this, you mentioned cameras. Silent movies is a big fascination of yours.
Absolutely.
Buster Keaton, absolutely. I'd also like to give you a chance to do a little bit of advertising for the Bavarian version, if you like, of Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, Carl Valentin.
Carl Valentin is amazing.
Because a lot of people out there won't have heard about Carl Valentin. Tell the world about him, because I think when you were like 12 years old, that was one of your early sort of roles.
Well, I was in 3rd grade. How old are you in the 3rd class in Germany? 8 or 9? Yeah. And I was doing Carl Valentin, a little skit where he went to the zoo. Well, that was difficult. To the zoo. And I fell in love with that guy because, actually, he had his big time in the 20s, 30s, to the 40s, 30s. And then it got actually down because the Nazis couldn't really.
Then it was bad times.
Well, they could only laugh about him, like, you know. Actually, Hitler was very fond of Carl Valentin.
You tell me?
Hitler, Adolf Hitler, yeah, you might have heard about that guy. And he invited.
Oh, come on.
He invited Carl Valentin to a dinner. Yeah. But didn't tell him that it was him who invited him. So Carl Valentin...
In Munich.
In Munich, I guess. Carl Valentin comes into that room, and then suddenly Adolf Hitler stands in front of him and says, you know, I'm a big fan of yours. Or maybe he said, I'm a big fan of yours. I don't know. Yeah. I'm a big fan of yours. I don't know. And he said, I am always laughing so hard about your stuff. And Carl Valentin is, well, they say that he said, you know, Mr. Hitler, I don't laugh about yours.
There's a very famous story that Carl Valentin went on stage, apparently, during the Nazi period and said on stage, Heil, Heil, Heil. What was the guy's name again?
He was very brave, and he was, you could say, he was dropped. He couldn't get gigs anymore and anything. But the great thing about him is that he was the Goonies, the Goon Show. Yeah. He was the Goon Show, the Monty Pythons, and Keaton and Chaplin rolled into one. Well, not with the amazing stuntman abilities, but with the heart for slapstick and with the heart of, well, in Bavaria you would say he would watch anything from the left side. Oh yeah, you know, he looks differently on stuff.
Yeah, he came from left field.
Is that so?
That's
you would say it's like,
and by the way, talking of left, he influenced Bertolt Brecht. He influenced Samuel Beckett, famously.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. We've got to move on.
Yeah, sorry about
We're going to talk about your most famous creation now. German humour at its best, or is that sort of universal humour?
Well, I tend to say it's universal humour because E.R. the donkey from Milne's Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah.
He has a similar...
E.R.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or Marvin, the android.
Yes.
I am very depressed. After he stood for 1 millennia in a parking lot.
Okay.
So
it's very successful. It's been on here in Germany. We've got like 24-hour kids channel called Kika.
Yes.
It's been on the channel since 2000. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah? What does that tell us about Germany?
A lot.
For example.
What exactly? You have to figure out yourself.
Can you go a bit deeper on that?
Yes, I can. Well, you know. It's the first thing is Bernd has some iconic character, whatever the English word for that is.
Gloomy.
Yeah. That
he isn't in love with humanity.
Not at all. That's a tend to let me put it other way. If people from outside of Germany look at Germans, they tend to say about the Germans things that Bernhard actually has in his character.
Oh, so he's a typical German.
He's a cliché.
He's an Ur-German.
You might say that. On the other hand, Germans the cliché of a German tends to nag about almost anything. Bernhard does that too. And he's a bread, and Germans love bread.
It's a good combination. The name is interesting. I mean, in English, it's Bernhard, which is sort of very much the sort of the US version.
Yeah.
In German, Bernd.
Bernd.
I mean, a name like Tommy, for example, that's sort of dynamic. You're intelligent, good-looking.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's what I think of when I think of. That's what I think of when I think of. I mean, Bernd.
Well,
why did you choose that? Because it rhymes with bread, or because there's more to it?
To begin with, it's like
boring.
Donald Duck, Marilyn Monroe, Bernd das Brot. It's the alliteration.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other hand, Bernd, it's such a dry name. Apart from the fact that my uncle sports that name. I love you, uncle, but your name is really... And it's just a name that sounds as boring as it is.
Okay. And Bernhard got kidnapped.
Well, a statue. Well,
was it a statue?
It was a statue of Bernhard Bread that stands in Erfurt, where the Children's Channel is located. And the statue got stolen because somebody wanted to highlight the problems they had with a occupied house.
Oh yeah, a squat.
Yeah, a squat, exactly. And and then at first it was funny, but then it started being not as funny as children in schools started to collect money from their pocket money to have the ransom. Is it ransom?
To pay the ransom,
to pay
really?
the ransom, yeah. And then,
Okay.
it stopped being funny.
That's interesting. We talked about you at school, being a bit of a sort of a bundle of energy, and your teacher's trying to channel that energy. You do a lot of readings at schools.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you do that? Is it about giving something back?
Actually, it is. I started doing stand-up comedy very early. Then I stopped doing it. And then this was a kind of my way back into that field because my readings are not really readings. I do only half or a third of the time really reading. The rest of the time, I tell them about what you can do, what you could achieve, or about that Norse mythology thing that I got going on with the books I wrote, and about the backgrounds of the names of the days, like Thursday and Torsday and Donnersday and stuff like that. And I really enjoy that, and I do that in a way that is comedic, but also informative. Thank
and I'll tell you what, you're very good at it because I've seen you on YouTube doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know because I've done readings for children as well. I used to go around schools and read poetry. Really? Yeah, and this guy is very good. He gets a real rapport going with the kids. Now we're going to move on. We haven't yet talked about Tommy's family, about his father, for example, who is, among other things, a keen cyclist. So let's now watch a very short film called, this is my translation, "My Dad Gave Me a Bike."
This one.
Oh my God, that worked. Yeah. It stars Krappweis Senior and Krappweis Junior.
I asked for two things. Lego. And Super 8 film. Yes, exactly. You can see in the movie, I'm looking around in that pile of umbrella stands, searching for Lego, and I'm not finding any. But you can see to the left a golden racing bicycle. And there's a jersey draped over it with the name Tommy on it.
We went to buy that bike in Italy.
Yeah, and the question is why?
To make you happy.
No, to make you happy. So that I'd be on that stupid bike, riding out of breath behind your group.
Oh, by the way, Mom said she still has that jersey.
I think I still have it.
You've got it. Oh, go and see.
I could put it on.
Now I'm curious if my son really... Oh, look at that.
What a catastrophe. Marvelous.
Oh my, that's nice. A shame it doesn't fit you anymore.
I could wear it as a hat.
Shall I tell you the truth?
I can't wait.
I thought it would make you happy.
Not at all.
Amazing that we have that footage where I do not recognize the bike with my name on it as a present. I love
what
that.
What on earth were you thinking while you were climbing around there, yeah?
I was searching for Lego so bad.
That little film, yeah? I mean, that was the 37th take and it had been carefully scripted.
Not at all. Not at all. I have a lot of that stuff because I also have... it's also from Eastern, because this was supposed to be Eastern present, didn't work. I have a movie where my father gave me the same 3 eggs. Or rather, he hid them, I find them, give them to him, the idiot being me, give them to him, and he hides them again. And I always collect them and say, oh my God, there must be millions of them. And at the end of the day, I ask him, could you give me all of them? And just a prep.
Oh dear.
3. My father didn't think this true. Not at all.
What happened to the bike?
Well, there was some day where I cycled to school with it, and I must have forgotten to
lock it up.
Lock it up somehow.
It's a lovely bike. It was a lovely bike.
It was. Well, maybe still is, but I don't know where.
Your father was a very successul cyclist.
Absolutely. Everything you could win as an amateur, he won. I don't know, is it in English the same with amateur and professional?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he was, I guess, 30 times Bavarian champion.
Really?
In all the disciplines you can have, like going uphill or going stupidly around a circle or whatever. And he was German champion about 3, 4, 9,
wow.
I don't know times. Yeah.
So this would have been in the 50s, probably?
Yeah, 50s, 60s, yeah. Yeah. So I always wondered why he didn't do it professionally. He kept saying, in those times you couldn't earn anything with it.
Which was true.
And stuff. Well, maybe it's true, but on the other hand, I think he really enjoyed the security of being a post. He was not a postman, but he worked at the post repairing the cars, the yellow cars.
Oh, the vans that deliver the post.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we had vans.
If he was winning all these championships, he was a pretty ambitious guy.
Pretty much so.
Yeah. Are you ambitious?
Yeah. When I start something, I not only want to have fun, but I want to be successful with it. It's quite important for me.
What does your dad say about you becoming a comedian, stuntman, musician,
about being a
producer, entertainer?
He was... In his heart, I think he's a performer as well. He writes poems, but only, that's quite typical of a family, only if he has to or if he has to do something with it, like being Nikolaus or something where he writes poems and stuff like that. He wouldn't ever write a poem just because he wants to write a poem. But he would do it if somebody says, wouldn't you write a poem for this and that occasion? Then he loves to do it. Okay. And so he has that in his heart, but just like me, he has to do something with it. It has to be useful in any kind of way. So when he saw me doing it and earning money with it and having fun, he was very proud.
Okay, tell us about your mother. You haven't mentioned your mother yet.
No, I haven't mentioned my mother because...
I'm still trying to work out where all this energy, all this creativity is coming from. A lot of it's coming from your father.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's your mother as well.
My mother worked as a gymnastics teacher. And
that fits in well with the stuntman stuff.
Or more the musical stuff, because she's a very she's a musical person. Can you say
absolutely.
that? Yeah, musical person. If I say musical person, I always think about Phantom of the Opera, which doesn't fit.
There are musicals and there are musical people.
Yeah, absolutely. And my mother is still a very musical person, dancing and doing whatever, and listening to music very happily. And so I think the musical part must come from my mother. And also the part that I really like to move in peculiar ways, because my father is more like moving in one way, which is, you know, and he's not too, how can you say, beweglich.
What do you mean? In physical terms?
In physical terms.
You mean he's a stiff guy?
Yeah, he's kind of not stiff like in the German kind of stiff way, but you know, he's more like this. Okay. And my mother's very agile, you know,
athletic.
Athletic, and that's probably might come from if you believe in genetics in any way.
Okay,
maybe you don't.
We're getting it all on the Krappweis family here. And one aspect of growing up in the Krappweis family was camping. It's something which I think it's fair to say that some people love and some people hate.
Can I go now?
There are those who love it so much, not like this guy here, that they even go camping in the heart of the big city. Yes, in the big city, like Berlin. We've got this report.
City camping is possible in a place like Berlin, with its many open spaces. Next to grassy lawns and abandoned swimming pools, tourists and locals meet to skateboard or play beach volleyball. The Askrups from Denmark love coming here. Finding a campsite in the middle of the city was a stroke of luck for the young family.
It's just a lot of fun when we can stay here in the centre of Berlin. And it's also so cheap. I mean, the alternative, a hotel, that's just too expensive for us.
There's no cheaper way to stay in the German capital. But in the summertime, the tents crowd the lawn, and that really does begin to feel like being in a big city. It's hardly getting away from it all. Nina and her boyfriend Jochen had to get used to living so close to their campsite neighbours.
I kept thinking Jochen was snoring, but I think it was coming from the next tent.
Marvin and his girlfriend Murda from Amsterdam are real camping pros. With a gas-powered wok, freshly brewed coffee and a cheerful tablecloth, they know how to eat breakfast in style.
When I was a kid, my parents took us camping a lot. So I guess it's in my genes. Is it the same word in German?
But urban camping is threatened with extinction. Many open areas won't be available for much longer, and neither will the old swimming pool. Investors want to build a spa, and so the campsite operators will have to move. The hardcore campers set up on one of Berlin's most iconic roads, June 17th Street.
When you're up here, you get rocked around a bit.
It's the trucks driving by. It really pulls us over to one side. Like home on the North Sea.
For those who don't want to risk bad weather or just want to escape the noise of traffic, there's a place in Berlin's Neukölln neighbourhood. The Palace of Huts, a former vacuum cleaner factory, offers indoor camping. Guests can choose from a wooden cottage or a lovingly restored old-time caravan.
It's so adventurous and such a funny idea, and it's all done with such attention to detail.
Every cottage, whether on wheels or made from wood, was created individually by neighbourhood artists. And they're reasonably priced too. One night in the retro camping paradise costs just €46 a person, including a small breakfast.
That's for weirdos, you say?
Yeah, you called me weird. Oh, look at that.
What, camping indoors?
Camping inside a room to make the room smaller.
It's interesting. We said that it's inexpensive, and I found out how much it costs, and it costs €46 per person.
Whatever makes you happy.
Indeed. You are you're passionately against anti-camping.
Well,
passionately anti-camping.
Actually, anyone who wants to camp should camp away.
So you're tolerant about it?
Absolutely, if it doesn't involve me in any way.
Because you're traumatised?
Yeah, by my father, actively.
We're back with your father here, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's just have let's get some. We've got some footage, some Super 8 footage again, yeah, from the Krappweis family archive. Let's have a look and tell us what we can see.
That's me in the back of the van, and well, that's actually one of the places where we went to, and we had to go down with that bus, bumpy roads, because my father always insisted on being somewhere where nobody else is, all alone.
Okay, and there we are.
Look at these cows. They were living on the Müllhalde. What's the word for Müllhalde?
On a rubbish dump.
Yeah, rubbish dump. They were living on a rubbish dump that was just behind our tent. And my father insisted on going to that place on Corsica 3 times because he said, you'd only smell it when the wind turns. I mean, is that possible? That's my little brother. He loves camping, still does. That's our Wagenburg. The green one. The green one was ours. Okay. Later, my father came to the conclusion it was quite wise to do a yellow bus, like you see here, because you could get the spray cans quite inexpensively at his work.
And where are we now exactly? Is this Corsica or is this...
This is anything. It's just a cut together of Yugoslavia, Corsica, and wherever it's hot land.
You've mentioned it. Yugoslavia was the nightmare for you.
Any of those much too hot and uncomfortable countries was, because I was always in whatever I rated. How you incarcerated?
Incarcerated?
Yeah, incarcerated in that little tent, that stupid tent that didn't, where the zipper didn't close, and it was hot, and I was in there playing Lego and trying to avoid going outside, because if I would go outside, there was something bound to happen that would threaten my life. Okay. We were in Seenot.
Mm-hmm. You were in danger of going under.
Danger quite often with our little rubber boat, and my father.
Little dinghy.
Yeah, the little dinghy, and my father insisted on never getting help, accepting help, because I remember.
So you're going under, and your father's saying, "Get away, get away."
My father, I remember actively, and my mother does too. Us three being in that boat, and there was a big boat, a fisher boat, coming, trying to rescue us, and they showed us this iconic ring that makes quite clear that we want to help you. And you know what my father did? You don't know. I'm going to tell you. He did this. He did it because of two reasons. One, he doesn't want to get rescued. Secondly, he didn't want my mother to feel that we are in danger. And she believed it when she was younger.
He wanted to becalm her. Yeah,
absolutely.
And you and your father, have you been into camping therapy?
Yeah, by writing a book about it together.
The book?
Yeah, the book.
And you're on tour with it as well?
I'm on tour with my father, and this is actually the first thing that we do together that we both like the same amount of... how can I say that?
You share it?
We share...
It's a shared experience. It's a bonding experience.
The first time that we actually share something together that we both like.
OK, then we're going to...
That was a sentence.
Yes, very good, though. Very good. Realistic?
Absolutely. I mean, they did quite a good job.
You were moaning that they were, after they'd been hit by the car, they were rolling over and then getting up as though they hadn't been hit by the car.
That was wrong. But I think it's a great idea for an incentive. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yep.
Why not?
We discovered that you're the kind of person who's sort of very much self-taught in everything you do. Yeah. Did that apply to the stuntman thing as well?
Yeah, and I really paid my dues.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do that properly when it's serious.
Yeah. Almost anyone can do it once. Yeah. Some people can do it twice if they're lucky.
You have to get up the next day and go back to work.
Exactly. Or when I was working in that amusement park, the Western Park, I had to do it 2 times a day for 2 years, except Mondays. On Saturdays 3 times a day, and a saloon show where I was falling down as well. So in the first 2 weeks, I really learned a lot, and I broke 2 ribs, but it was my first real job, so I really thought I should get going. Then I went to a doctor that my father knew, because he was stitching up my father all the time, because he always gets broken.
Coming off the bike?
Yeah, all the time. And I said, listen, now this is my first real job, and I get paid quite good, and I really need that job, so what can you do to help me survive with 2 broken ribs? And he gave me some kind of a... what's the name of that? Like a sock.
A sock, yeah.
A very tight sock. Well, it looked like one, because it was tight like that and high like that. And I had to wear it as some kind of a corset. Yeah. So normally ribs would heal in about 3 weeks. Mine took about 2 months, because I kept falling on them all the time. Yeah. And but I survived. I never missed one show. Yeah. And after those 2 months, I really knew how to fall without even... breathing.
Was this falling from heights, or this was falling?
It was about everything that you can imagine as you do with a body stunt. Body stunt is falling, hitting, fighting, falling downstairs.
Tell me about the fighting. Because me and my kids, we quite often, I mean, people must think we're real weirdos, because we like to pretend we're...
I can show you something that you can actually use. Is it possible to stand up in that room?
Is it possible to stand up, or can we do it in sort of...
We couldn't do it sitting, actually, but it's very simple, and I wouldn't hurt you. Oh, can I come closer?
OK, we're going to stand up. We're going to stand up. The camera's going with us, I think.
It's amazing.
We've lost our heads.
No.
Keep down.
No, the problem is, if you do something like that in public, you do not have a sound. So whether...
I don't want to end up on the ground.
No, not at all. So the one thing you can do is do a sound with your foot, but that's not realistic. Yeah. Well, and you have to synchronize it. The other thing you can do is actually hit here. No, wait, don't fall now. So your job is to turn your face in that direction when you feel that hit. And what I'm going to do is I have closed fist, then I open my fist and I close it again.
Okay.
Okay, so do it. Isn't that amazing? So you do that with your kids and make sure that your mother is on that side.
We do it like this. We hit the other guy and then slap our bum.
Well, kind of, yeah. Well, that really works amazingly realistic because it has the sound. This sound sounds realistic. I like that.
OK, we're going to be realistic about time now. We're going to do our Talking Germany quiz.
Whatever that is,
quick questions,
I'm ready
quick
for
answers.
That.
John Lennon or Paul McCartney?
Both.
Monty Python or Carl Valentin?
Both again, damn.
Boring.
I know.
Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin?
Buster Keaton.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm sorry.
We haven't talked about your Mara trilogy, which is a pity. We haven't talked about the amulet you're wearing. It's a pity. But you can't do everything. Ancient or modern?
Ancient, probably.
Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings?
The Lord of the Rings.
Are you Bavarian or German?
I am Bavarian and German cliché in some points.
And a great guest, Tommy Krappweis. If you've enjoyed his company as much as I have, come back next week. Until then, bye-bye and cheers.